in the western subtropical Atlantic. This upgraded to a tropical storm last night at 11 p.m. by the National Hurricane Center. And if you look at the satellite loop, this is like a sandwich. We call it sandwich because it shows different visible in addition to the infrared at the same time. There's not much more to see here, but if you look at the long range infrared, quite a bit of convection, probably northeast of the actual center of circulation there. However, I won't be surprised if it take a step back here. This system started off as non-tropical in origin and transitioned to a tropical system as it shed its frontal characteristics. And it was well forecast by the National Hurricane Center and by when I looked at these phase diagrams here as well, transition into warm core. So going back to that, take a little wider view here of the tropics. Not a lot going on right now other than Dexter. Another low pressure system is forecast according to National Hurricane Center. Broad area is supposed to form in a couple days around in the southeast coast here. And then maybe move this way. Well, can't draw very well. Anyway, you get the idea. It's forecast to maybe move this way, but it's not forecast to get very strong. If it does, I'll go over that as well. The model guidance for that, and I'll also go over the model guidance for this potential tropical system out here in the Atlantic Ocean here in the main development region, which is an area that becomes more favorable this time of year. And now this is up to a 50% chance. I have a feeling they're going to keep increasing these chances in the next 7 days. And we'll likely get something to form based on what I'm seeing today and model guidance. Dexter is forecast to just move out to sea and transition back to extra tropical, which means it'll be non-tropical again in a few days. Might bring some heavy surf and rip currents to the coastline, but other than that, basically a fish storm. If you have any fish out there, you need to warn about this. Might want to give them a call. But this whole area has become very active all of a sudden, and I wasn't that surprised that it's become more active given the frontal boundary that is draped over this area. That's an arrow, but there's a stall front draped here. And this time of year, over the warm Gulf waters, the Gulf Stream, if a front sits there long enough, a system develops over it. Then it moves off the front, develops tropical characteristics like Dexter did, and there you go. So we have Dexter. When we look at the model guidance, I'm going to look at the what the models are saying about Dexter here briefly. We'll just look at the European model. Although let's go to the GFS because it has more recent run. It's pretty early in the morning here. You see Dexter about now, 1,003 millibars. Forecast to be a sub 1,000 millibar tropical storm and transition to non-tropical in nature as it moves out to sea. Then you have this other tropical system possibly developing out here in the main development region. And you have two high pressure systems forecast to be dominant. This subtropical high is supposed to be pretty dominant over the most of the Lake Ocean through the period. And this is a GFS model run. Don't everybody get all excited about it when they see these numbers. This is way out, 2 weeks, 11 days out. Not a lot of skill in this. However, that's worth noting when you go back and the model runs. It's been pretty consistent showing something developing over the past 4 or 5 model runs, even though it's been different places. So you see how much variability is there. If you look at the ensemble members, first we're looking at here where this potential system off the East Coast, Southeast Coast. Quite a few members try to develop something broad area low pressure. Never really gets defined, and that's the end of the model run there for the European ensemble. You have the other low pressure system out here in the tropical Atlantic. And if you look at the European operational run, it really doesn't show much developing, and it shows a broad area off the coast of the United States here, southeast coast, and potentially another system out here in the main development region. If we go to this is the American model ensemble members. You have again a broad low pressure, which is, and you have something in the Pacific here developing. A bunch of members showing the weak broad area, nothing really defined, moving on shore in the southeast, which likely will just contribute to more heavy rain around the 9th of August or so. Pretty clustered out here in the main development region. The same time frame. This is about 5 days from now. Pretty good agreement that something's going to develop here. And a lot of the members, at least on this run, say pretty strong and pretty far south. Although there's quite a bit of spread still in what might happen. So that far out, that far out, I'm not surprised. But if you go further back in time to, let's say, the 8th and 4 days from now, definitely pretty good agreement something is going to develop out here. Something on the southeast coast as well, but not likely to get very strong, at least at this point in the model guidance. We go to the GPS, which is the super ensemble. It doesn't really show a heck of a lot, which is surprising. Shows maybe something out here, but it's not very bullish on anything getting going. If we look at I want to look at one more thing, the EC, the European AI model, and see what it shows. It wants to take that, whatever that system was, and loop it around, and maybe develop more systems out in the tropical Atlantic. And again, this may be the system we're talking about here, although that's more than 7 days out. So I think the European ECAI is out to lunch on this one, because I think most of the other models agree. Ensembles, it's something we'll get going. Where it goes from there, it's hard to really say right now. And the model differences are likely due to just differences in where low pressure, high pressure systems set up. And this far out, week over week, model guidance struggles with fine features, and until something develops, we know how strong it is, then we'll have a better idea of what's going to happen. That being said, again, Dexter is no threat to land. Possible tropical system developing off the southeast coast in the next few days. Not likely to be strong at this point. And further down the road, another system is forecast to develop in the main development region, move to the east, northeast. But after that, again, once it develops, it'll be a lot easier to figure out where it might go. That's it for the tropics. I'm going to go over some other model guidance for the continental U.S. We have a water vapor loop for the continental U.S. You can see the southeast is stuck in this weak ridging at the surface here, the mid levels and upper levels, bringing deep moisture, funneling it up and around, and continuing to do so and stretch it out into the Atlantic, which nice, warm, cool, dry conditions for the northeast. Upper level feature moving on shore in Oregon, and then bring in some rainfall and storms, and also a pretty deep trough shortwave diving off the Rockies and down into Texas. It's like an MCS or MCV. Moving through the flow here, although it's not very strong. There's a few of them moving through the flow here. You can see the enhanced flow there with that. This feature will probably lift over top of this ridge here, but depending how far it swings to the east, we'll just have to see how the flow goes. If we look at that models here, the flow. Well, first of all, we'll look at the current hazards. How about that? Current hazards, you have a flood watch for a good portion of Georgia, western part of Georgia, parts of Alabama, Panhandle, Florida. Hazardous heat advisories for the southern Florida. Red flag warning for a good portion of the Intermountain West. And extreme heat warning again for the desert Southwest. Extreme heat watch. Just to the north of that. Not a lot of hazards going on right now. Severe thunderstorm warning here. Heat advisory. It's like down here in Texas again. Anyway, going back to models. Upper level flow. go over the GFS, mid-level flow. It gives us a good idea of what's going on in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. You see that trough diving south. See that general troughiness and enhanced flow. See how the flow switches from easterly mid-levels. You get some enhancement here with the trough. And this, as this high gets stronger, it also brings enhanced flow on the eastern side here. And these perturbations in the flow dive and go through the trough, leads to enhanced rainfall storms. And you can see this pattern is stays in place for quite a while. And you can see even Wednesday, you have more of a enhancement in the flow here. Looks like see what's moving through here. Anyway, you have some enhancement in the flow moving through the trough, according to this GFS run. And this high pressure system at the mid levels stays in place over the desert southwest, which keep them locked in with heat. General troughiness remains over the southeast, with high pressure systems staying in control here, although it's flattening out according to this, with a mid-level, pretty strong mid-level feature moving through the flow here. If this happens, we'll likely get severe weather up here in the northern plains, upper Midwest, with this flow. You see the high pressure kind of flattens out with the mid-level feature moving through the flow, and then high pressure builds back in to the southeast. Another mid-level feature moves through the flow, and the pattern, you see that system the GFS is wanting to develop out here, and the high pressure cell right to its north, which is keeping it from going anywhere. Anyway, that's the general flow. Next, we'll go over the flood risk, future rainfall amounts, and severe weather chances. Okay. And this is just showing the tropical systems on here and where they might develop, and tropical storm Dexter out here. But anyway, it's still 12Z today, which is about 6 a.m. or let's see, 7 a.m. local time Eastern. Slight risk of excessive rainfall exceeding exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles of a point. Marginal risk surrounding it. Kind of bisecting the state of Georgia, Alabama, up towards Florence along the Gulf Coast. Marginal risk in the upper Midwest, high plains, and into the south here in the Texas, Oklahoma, parts of Kansas. And that's driven by that moisture driving down the east side of the Rockies. Excuse me. Sorry for the clearing of the throat. My sinuses are just messed up. Moving in, this is today's day 2 is actually today from 12Z to 12Z tomorrow. Slight risk of excessive rainfall again over the southeast, up in the upper Midwest, around Minnesota, Montana, and a small part of Kentucky, Michigan, Illinois, and Missouri. And then we move into day 3, which is Tuesday. See where that thread is again over the southeast, out on the Panhandle and surrounding areas, and parts of North Dakota, Minnesota. We go to day 4. The excessive rainfall threat shifts to the east. North Carolina, marginal risk, Virginia along the southeast coast, Minnesota, North Dakota. And then day 5, still on the southeast coast. And I think this echoes where that potential system may be hanging out here and develop in the coming days, and also in the upper Midwest here. If you look at excessive rainfall, let's look at the multi-day, day 1 to 2. You can see where most of the precip is expected to fall, mostly in Georgia and along the Gulf Coast, and along the parts of Texas and the upper Midwest. Day 1 to 3, straight over middle Georgia here. This is through Wednesday, so we have up to 3 inches more rain total. 3 inches of rain falling, maybe more than that, and along the Gulf Coast here. The rest of the U.S., not as big of a threat, but let's look at day 1 through 5 totals. You see, start to shift eastward. Still the deep oranges. And here you have where that flood risk increases up here in the Canada and North Dakota. Let's go back to this daily for day 1. That's for today. See where the bullseyes are here. Day 2. Squarely over western to middle Georgia up towards Atlanta, along the Gulf Coast, the upper Midwest, along the southeast coast here. And the rainfall shifts eastward after that. And you can see where it goes here in the upper Midwest. As far as severe weather goes, for day 1 today, we have a slight risk over Nebraska, South Dakota, Montana, mostly driven by and thunderstorms in the rest of this area here and along the Maine coast. How about that? Interesting. Mostly driven by tornado risk. You have a 2% chance on the front range of the Rockies here again. That may be. Let me go to the SPC website. I'm not sure if that's today or. Yeah, this is today. So you have your categorical risk slight. I just want to make sure it was today and not up until 12Z today. So you have tornado potential, 2% in these areas. Whoops. Hail potential. You see you have a 10% hatch risk, surrounded by 15% slight risk. 10% hatch risk indicates for hail, indicates hail greater than 2 inches within 25 miles of a point. That's severe hail, and they have a marginal risk surrounding it. Of course, the wind risk is marginal, surrounding a 15% slight risk. Then you move into day 2. This is the 4-panel. See here, day 2 4-panel, nothing there. Okay, well, let's go back to this. day 2. You have the threat moves into the northern high plains, upper Midwest, the bullseye around South Dakota and parts of North Dakota. Likely that short wave or something moving through the flow here. This is driven by there's no tornado risk, wind risk and hail. 50% wind and 5% surrounding it for excessive winds greater than 50 knots. Hail threat is in the same areas. Go to day 3. Large, not large, but a pretty encompasses of quite a few states here. Marginal risk of severe weather from Nebraska, parts of Kansas, most of Nebraska, parts of South Dakota, Minnesota, parts of North Dakota, a little portion of Iowa, and northeast Colorado. This time of year, severe weather isn't as big of a deal, or is not. Especially tornado risk isn't that high this time of year, but whenever you get vorticity spin up, especially with landfalling tropical systems, you could have severe weather uh, spin up anytime. So that being said, next I'm going to go over the 7-day forecast, future radar, and that'll be it for today. End of the period, just going to warm up some, but you see, most of the rainfall, as I talked about, is going to occur between today and maybe Wednesday and Thursday. You see the winds remain from the east or northeast, which when you have winds from the east or northeast, they bring in cooler air at the surface, which tends to keep our temperatures down and adds moisture. And when you have the flow like we have, and it's kind of stagnant, the sun will come out sometimes, although it didn't much this weekend. And then as you get through the day, storms will pop up and hang around for a while. But for the next few days, it's going to be cloudy, maybe some breaks in the clouds, but chance shower and thunderstorms, shower thunderstorm likely most days here up until Wednesday or Thursday. And even moving through that period, you have a 15-40% chance of the storms each day. So it doesn't mean that towards the end here, the half here doesn't mean that we're going to have rain all day, but at least for the first part of the week, I think it's going to be a lot of clouds around, a lot of heavy rainfall. Where that rainfall sets up, we have the potential for flooding. So that's it for that. Going over the future radar for the HRR model. This is the high resolution rapid refresh model. Not a lot. Not showing a lot. I'm going to go down to the southeast here. Rain really increases in coverage and spreads northward over time here, especially over middle Georgia. And really, we get a soaking, especially this evening. And that rain's likely to move out towards around 10 o'clock tonight and move northward into the northern Georgia and South Carolina, North Carolina. This trend will continue. Different moisture and features surging through the flow, enhancing rainfall the next few days. Well, I appreciate y'all watching today and listening. And hopefully you got some good information from this. And if you haven't already, subscribe and like my page and share it with your friends. Have a great day.